Where does your business idea or the idea you've got for this amazing product fit in the history of ideas of the world? Why does it matter to humanity, to the world at large, to the environment, to the philosophy of the planet, to great ideas for widgets? Why does it matter? What's the context? How do you know the context? Start with, read this book. This is my strongest recommendation ever, I think, and it's why I've put this as a book recommendation on LinkedIn. This is a book about literally the ideas that have been had, and it's a history of ideas that have ever been had by humanity. It is one of the best books I have ever read, and certainly the best non-fiction book I have ever read for diving into the history of everything. So starting off with, the history of language, where does that come from? The history of religions, where do they get birth from? How do they relate to each other? Talking into about some of the legal systems that get invented. How did that come about? Talking into the ideas of science. Where does paper come from? Paper is one of the greatest inventions in the history of the world. Before the invention of paper, we did have language, but we couldn't write things down in a manner that lasted long enough to actually transport that knowledge through time and through generations without carving it onto a bloody rock. So, which takes quite a long time. There's not much information you can put out. Paper is one of the most amazing inventions. It's attributed to a Chinese monk called Kai Lin in the early noughties of the first millennium. He probably wasn't the person who did it. He was probably the project sponsor because he was a member of the royal court. It was probably a minion that did it for him. How do I know that? I learned it in this book. So much ideas about music, so much ideas about how music matters, so much of it, how capitalism arrived as a matter, how much individualism arrived, how much secularism arrived. All of these things are kind of big ideas, but it actually creates an evolution of societal context of ideas. And how does your business fit into that? So specifically at ShipShape, we have a venture capitalist search engine. So it's an investment engine search engine. As I was corrected yesterday, I shouldn't be calling it venture capital because we do much more than VC. It's angel investing, strategic investors. They're all available through our search engine. Find investors through us. Why does that matter? Why does the idea of actually starting up businesses, either being an entrepreneur or an intrapreneur, actually matter? What's the fit of that? We have a thing that we put up on LinkedIn of just like, there's an amazing thing, there's a business case. Don't you ever find that's kind of really limited? It's very important. It's very important because money is the idea that we assign values to things. I totally get that we have to have a positive business case because that's the way we do it at the moment, and we haven't thought of a better way of doing it for 500 years. But why does it matter? Like, how does it fit in with the history? How's the idea that we're having going to make a small contribution to the progress of the history of humanity? Or indeed, how's it going to take us backwards? Because progress isn't linear. Some ideas just take us back a step. Oops. Read this book. It's absolutely incredible. It is a history of the ideas that have ever been had in the world, from the discovery of the birth of humanity, the first human walking, up until the beginning of the 20th century, which is an incredible journey. I cannot recommend it enough. You will learn so much about life. You might say, oh, but I don't need this now because I've got the internet, and this book was written in 2006. True, false. This book is so dense with so many good references. If you're a nerd like me, you will find yourself just disappearing off into the internet, and your internet browsing history will suddenly stop being full of cat videos and full of the most amazing, enriching education of your life. This book is at least the secondary education, if not part of the primary education, that I really wish I'd had. And my education was good. I went to a very good grammar school, state school in the UK. That's one of the best educations you can get in the world. Nothing like this. This is absolutely phenomenal and will open your mind, open your eyes, and you will have a richer nuance of the ideas of the world, into which a canvas into which to paint your little idea in the context of what 7 billion people and growing over a history of time have ever contributed into the world. I recommend it that highly. That's why it's my book recommendation for Friday. Happy Friday, everybody. Happy reading.